Is it choosing love, loving the family and getting together, sitting around and eating, playing games and sharing stories? Isn't that what Christmas time is all about? It is those twinkling lights that you remember every person, present and past, that's around the table, that you had a conversation with, that you got a gift from, gave the gift of love from, and that's what the holidays is really about. Aren't meant to be preserved, they're meant to be shared. When we talk honestly about our feelings, we don't pass down ornaments, we pass down emotional clarity, understanding, and welcome back to Come to the Well, where we gather to breathe, listen, and to let God meet us right where we are. Today we're stepping into a tender space, the emotions that rise up around family, traditions, and the holidays. If you've ever felt misunderstood by your children, or if an ordinary conversation left you feeling dismissed or unseen, you are not alone. There is living water here for you. So take a deep breath and come to the well with me as we explore how to honor your feelings while creating deep conversations across a generation. You know, this is kind of a conversation that can be very, very, challenging. We have so many things that are going on around the holidays. And it's not just about decorations. It's not just about the pumpkin roll. It's a little bit more than that. So what I want to do is begin today by sharing a story with you. In May, I moved to Chautauqua, New York, which we had a lake house property. We sold our house to our son, and we decided to move here permanently up in New York. But being that we sold our house to our son, we were able to leave some of our belongings and move them up slowly into our home. So it is coming upon the holiday time, and I'm asking my son to let's go through all of the decorations with my daughter so we can split some things up between them. Because the property that I own does not have a lot of space to house all of the decorations that I've accumulated between my mom after her passing, things that I've collected, and from my husband's mom who died last year. So my son got kind of irritated because of the fact that I had told him that we needed to go through these Christmas decorations for a very long time. But in the meantime, I'm getting a remodel done in my home, so I'm really not putting up that many decorations for Christmas. So in my mind, I thought, well, there's no reason why I need to bring all of these up. It's in a nice section of the basement that's closed off, that it wouldn't bother him if the boxes and the crates stayed right there. But for some odd reason, he got very upset and said, well, when are you going to get these things out of here, Mom? You've been talking about it for so long. And, my feelings got hurt. Because all I'm asking for is some time, because I have a lot in my brain going on about the holidays, not being able to have people come to my new home up in New York because it's going to be under construction. So you move somewhere, you get excited that you want to decorate, you want to make it nice, you want to bake cookies, and lo and behold, that is not going to happen. That you're not going to be able to do that because you're going to have to drive your car around to a different entryway. You're not going to be able to have water, dishwasher. You're not going to be able to cook like you would. You have no oven because the kitchen is in disarray. It's really gutted. So you're not going to have anywhere to cook. All I'm going to be able to do is microwave and use a fry pan and to use my crock pot. I mean, it's fine for two people, but it's not something that you can do for a holiday. So honestly, when my son didn't understand where I was coming from, I got a little annoyed. And it took me back to when I was a little girl and my mom would say things to me. And my mom and grandma always made the holidays very, very special. There was always lovely decorations on the table. The Christmas wrap was nice. They always had the right cookies. And we always passed down ornaments between the kids. My aunt would buy me an ornament from an arts and crafts show. My mom would gift us an ornaments. There always would be something about the tree or about some of the decorations that mom had. Or, my mother-in-law had decorations from my husband that he had made. I don't know if you remember the macaroni plate that you made and you spray painted it gold and it was in a wreath with a bow on it. She also saved, he wrote Merry Christmas in block lettering that was on paper and he strung it on a string. We still have that. Those kind of things just make your heart sing and remind you of what truly Christmas is about. When you have, your son say something like, well, just get it out of here. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take all my stuff. I'll go through what I want and then I'll bring back what you want. Or I'll just take my stuff and you'll get absolutely nothing. And then he gets all defensive. So this holiday time can be really, really emotional. And really sometimes it's not really about the decorations. When my son reacted, just leave them here, I'll go through them and I'll get rid of them, is what he said. It's like, I don't want you to get rid of my stuff because there's certain things that I have memories and I have ties to that a lot of these people under 35 are very minimalistic. They don't really want anything. They don't want fine china. They don't entertain as much. It's not the same. And it really becomes kind of internally hurtful and the emotion goes really deep. It really made me feel not good. It made me feel like he didn't see me. It made me feel not valued. It made me feel like a sting that the Christmas that I gave the kids didn't really matter. That I'm going to do my own thing as a older 20-year-old with my own home, with my own girlfriend, and that what you did for the holidays doesn't really matter. That those traditions just don't matter. I'm going to make my own. Now, I might have heard it wrong or my emotions might have gotten stung because I just assumed that he would want to take the time that day instead of going to the gym and say, yeah, Mom, let's go through them now. I have some time. You can leave them here. I'll put up some of the decorations and what you don't want. You can leave here and then you can take them to Goodwill or Salvation Army. But that wasn't what was said. It was very gruff. And I know it was the day after Thanksgiving. People's emotions are high. They're tired. We're both tired and we say things. But it just doesn't warrant the conversation that was said. A lot of young kids, and maybe you can relate to this, just don't understand the nostalgia of the history of the large families getting together. My grandma was Polish and she would invite everybody over, all the aunts, cousins, till they got a bit older and moved to Florida. But it was always a bunch of people coming over Christmas Eve, drinking, eating food, and then Christmas Day was always a nice Christmas breakfast, and we always opened our gifts. Grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles, cousins came over for Christmas dinner, and you relaxed and you socialized and you really pulled it forward. A lot of times, as you get older, you invite older aunts and uncles that don't really have a place to go because they've lost their spouse. So it becomes an extension of the extended family. And I'm sure the aunt felt really good that she was not alone. And that's what it's really about, not being alone, not spending time without family and friends. You know, this time of year, the holidays are amplified, especially you feel very sentimental, especially if you've lost a parent or a loved one and you're used to things going a certain way. It's really challenging, and maybe some of you ladies can relate when you have a blended family or your parents had a certain food item. Your parents maybe had beef tenderloin, or maybe they had ham, or maybe they had ravioli, and now you get married and you have to blend the tradition and they don't want to have that particular item. And you kind of feel hurt, like, well, why can't we have that item? That's the way my parents always did it. And sometimes you get a little stubborn or you get angry. You know, the whole point is that we really don't know where people are in this season, how deep the hurts run, and where their emotions are. And that's where I want us to all be sensitive and to understand that not only are you feeling that you have to do everything, you have to have linen napkins and the tablecloth, and you have to have the stuffing and the mashed potatoes and all the food and all the appetizers, and you have to make it really, really nice. You have to ask yourself, well, why do I want it that way? Is there something inside of me that's yearning to bring that particular loved one back? Is it that I just don't want to change? I want to have it that way. And that's okay too. Whatever it is that you want to have this time of year, you have to be open to those feelings. And you have to name the feeling and not blame. I can't be blaming my husband for something that I didn't tell him that I wanted for the holiday, or that I really wanted to invite everybody over and I didn't really want to go to that particular party or that particular event. Because if we don't speak up for ourselves and talk about the hurt, or, you know, when you said this to me, this is how I felt. And the reason I felt that way was because when I was 13 years old, my dad took me over to Aunt Sue's and she made a comment about my blouse. It could be just those little things that really go back very, very deep. It's about how do we handle that conversation. Sometimes we need to just pause and not react. Easier said than done. And I should have paused when my son reacted that way. And I should have paused and said, hey son, what do you want me to do? I really don't have enough room for these things. What would you do in this situation? Or something like that. Might not have come out that way. You know, or this means a lot to me if you would take the time to sit down with me and open up the boxes and reminisce about these particular ornaments. Or I really would like to help you because I know ornaments are expensive and you are actually getting a tree for the first time in your new home. And I know how hard it is to decorate a tree with very few ornaments. But ladies, I don't know about you, but I remember the time where you got the Christmas tree and you had maybe 2 handfuls of ornaments and the tree looked pretty bare. But that was just so much fun. It was just you and your husband looking at this tree with white lights or red and green lights, whatever lights you had. And you had welcome to my new home or first home in the year dated on that. And you had maybe some tinsel, maybe some garland, maybe some popcorn that you both popped. I mean, those are precious memories too. And now that I'm sharing this with you, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's what my son wants. Maybe my son doesn't want all of my things, and he wants to create his own ornaments and not be handed down ornaments I gave him as a kid, which was all sports ornaments. Maybe he doesn't want to have all sorts of hockey and baseball and football ornaments on his tree. Well, let's talk about that. Maybe my reaction was because I wanted to help, and really he should have been clearer. We both should have been clearer about, hey, if you don't want these, I'm really okay with it. I'll, give them to somebody else. But instead, I'm feeling nostalgic and I want to help with giving him some decorations because, I want everybody's house to look cool with snowmen or Santa Clauses or whatever they have in the window. Sometimes our perception is that we want it to be like a Norman Rockwell painting, or we want it to be like one of the neighbors that just has everything so beautiful lights, beautiful garland everywhere. And sometimes it's not that way. Or I should have said, would you like to choose a few things, and whatever you don't want, I'm very okay with that. Not always the conversation that you want to have. Sometimes it's people thinking that their clutter, they don't want the clutter that you're accumulating. They don't want to give that clutter. But really what it's all about is making a connection and building that relationship and sharing with them the fond memories of the aunt or the grandma that they really didn't know because she passed away at 2 years old. Proverbs 20 verse 5 states, "Clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, and over all these virtues put on love." A grounding scripture for how we should approach our family and communicate during this holiday. Another one is Psalm 145:4. "One generation shall praise your works to another." Now that's a legacy to pass on. Ladies, we really have to pause this time of year and take a check of our emotions. Because the more I realize that I'm gonna not be able to decorate that year, it's not really about the ornament. It's not about the prime rib or the ham. It's really not about the twinkling lights. It's really about my relationship with the baby that was born, baby Jesus, who comes into our heart as a small little infant to give us that blessing, and that we see that child be brought to a young mother, Mary, and a husband, Joseph, that they were betrothed to each other, but yet he was going to divorce her. Can you imagine being 14 and being unwed and unwanted and carrying a baby and being in shame and guilt, but yet knowing that's what the Father wanted her to do? That's really what the season is about. It's understanding that no matter if you have an ounce of decorations, it's the relationship that I have, knowing that the little baby loves me, and just looking into a precious newborn's eyes, they need you so much, is such a gift. Let's try to connect with our children this time of year. Have you asked your children, what does the holiday mean to you? What's the special memory that you have? Because that'll give you more of a sense of nostalgia and feeling than any ornament or any napkin or tablecloth that you could pass on. The legacy that I want to leave my kids is that I made the holiday special and I gave them grounding in their faith, and that they have a relationship with Jesus, the baby that was born during this holiday. And I got to think this through. Is it about being right and having conflict and having our kids and our parents and be at odds with one another? Or is it choosing love, loving the family and getting together, sitting around and eating, playing games and sharing stories? Isn't that what Christmas time is all about? In that time you're sitting down, carving the ham, the turkey, the prime rib, the tenderloin, whatever you're having, it's those around the table but it is those twinkling lights that you remember every person, present and past, that's around the table, that you had a conversation with, that you got a gift from, gave the gift of love from, and that's what the holidays is really about. You know, traditions aren't meant to be preserved, they're meant to be shared. When we talk honestly about our feelings, we don't pass down ornaments, we pass down emotional clarity, understanding, and love. And isn't that what we want to leave? We want to leave all of our kids and our grandkids a voice, a relationship with us that is truly love, and that they want to be around us because we shared from the heart. The gift of kindness over a cup of coffee or tea. It's the memories that we make when we choose not the ornament, not the decorations, when we choose to just sit and talk real to the person right in front of us. And that may even be the person at the register at the grocery store. You know, ladies, as we go about this holiday season, let's really think about what the holiday means to us. Reflect on it, journal on it. Take one of your favorite ornaments and ask yourself, is it really about the ornament, or what is this season really about? And can I spend more time with the people I care about? If this episode touched your heart and you want to communicate with your children in a way that builds connection instead of conflict, I'd love to help. Reach out to me, my God Body, coaching for women who help give you emotional clarity, confidence, a healthier communication in every relationship. Message me with the word communicate for more details. Also, message me to join our private Come to the Well community, because it's at the well where we share, talk, and engage with one another and have these vulnerable conversations, these heart-to-heart conversations where we meet not only each other, but we meet Jesus at the well so we can lock arms together and live a full, fulfilling life in Him. Ladies, take care. Till next time, bye-bye.